dementia researcher with a blog and a rating.
Hello, and thanks for checking out this blog. You're reading and listening to the thoughts, feelings and experiences of Nathan. This is the first of my monthly blog series on dementia researcher. This post is an attempt to introduce myself and hopefully provide some insight as to who I am and what I'm doing here. In the post I will touch on my route into dementia and academia, some of the hurdles I jumped over along the way, and I very briefly introduce my PhD topic, the Worcestershire Meeting Centres Community Support Programme. I've also managed to sneak a picture of some artwork in too. What can you expect from my blogging? Well, I expect you will get a blend of my experiences doing research as I transition through my first year as a full-time PhD student, perhaps some content on my lived experience as a formal and informal dementia carer, as well as some off-the-cuff stuff that, be warned, may get a little political. Who are you? I always think this is a tricky question, like when someone passes you and asks, "Are you okay?" Do you want the real answer, or do they want the quick and easy? I'm good, Tar. Yourself? I find it hard to put me down into something short and succinct, so I'll give you my interview elevator pitch, which I turned to and asked, "So tell us a little bit about yourself." Well, I feel I've always shown a caring and compassionate side, from childhood to present day. But it wasn't until my granddad, Ted, got diagnosed with dementia in my late teens that I mobilised these values into something more tangible. I was benighted to the condition before Ted's diagnosis, so much so I would render it epiphany. I became alarmed at the lack of effort to prevent and alleviate symptoms, engrossed by the possibility to use my interest in sports to provide exercise programs, and inspired to fulfill my nuanced purpose to improve people's lives. Noteworthy, at this point I'd only visited one nursing home. Suffice to say, I never did get my exercise idea off the ground, but it led me to academia, an indirect course but one with emergent effects. You can tell I'd been reading evaluation literature. But it wasn't a straightforward process to get to where I am today. I didn't have a good experience in education before university. I failed most of my GCSEs, scraped into college on a level 1 sports course, which then qualifies you to progress onto level 2, 3, and then university if you wish. Anyway, I just about passed level 1, but I was a challenging little lad, so they kicked me out of college and into the real world, what I like to call the rat race. I tried several different jobs and quickly became a slave to the clock, and, in the words of Richard Archer, I was living for the weekend, which we should never do, life's too short. I paid to retake my GCSEs and quite literally begged the college to take me back. Thankfully they did, and 2 degrees, 1 dodgy knee, a dodgy ankle, and an array of jobs later, I've sort of ended up where I left off, in a roundabout kind of way, working on intervention, improving the lives of people affected by dementia. So what are you doing? Nearly 6 months into my PhD, and some things are beginning to make sense, others not, but a marked difference from the early weeks. Now a little blurry, which in truth was a mix of utter jubilation and deflation. I'm virtually here. Regardless of what you're joining the team to do, it's daunting, and in honesty, COVID has made it tough. Nevertheless, I am here, and I've begun the PhD journey. However, this isn't the only journey I'm on. I'm an informal caregiver for my nan, Margaret, pitched on the right with a Christmas present from me, who is living with dementia. This is my second personal experience with dementia, and it hasn't gotten any easier. My professional and personal experience, that according to theory renders me an expert by experience, has helped contextualise the value of meeting centres and understand, without actually attending one properly yet, why they are such a worthy cause. Meeting centres are the topic of my PhD, specifically the Worcestershire Meeting Centres Community Support Programme. A bit of a mouthful, I know. Meeting centres provide community-based social, emotional and practical support for people affected by dementia to adjust to the changes that dementia brings, building on the work of dementia-friendly communities. Since development in the Netherlands in the early 90s, meeting centres have spread internationally, notably through a pan-European project called Meeting Den, which successfully adapted and implemented the meeting centres model in the UK, Poland and Italy. Since then, Worcestershire County Council, England, announced in January 2020 over £500,000 to support the setting up and running of 9 meeting centres across the county, the Worcestershire Meeting Centres Community Support Programme. This novel county-wide intervention has the opportunity to be a blueprint for nationwide dissemination of the meeting centres, champion efforts to fill the inequitable gap that currently exists in post-diagnostic support. I have the job of researching this as it develops, and hopefully in 3 years providing the thesis that demonstrates the impact and value of the county-wide approach. Currently, I have little more in the web browser. With that many tabs open, I open a new browser each time as it's overwhelming, and a desk full of scribbles that again amount to the same problem as the former. As a recent PhD graduate described to me, progress is glacial. But to be the individual heading this research is an absolute dream, and I cannot wait to share the journey with you over the coming weeks, months, and years. Ta.
Thank you for listening. Join the Dementia Research bloggers and share your own views.